Hey, what's up again, everybody? It's Robert184, 2Rs2Bs from gundam.tk, which is gundamreviews.net, and I've been saying it for a few weeks, but the first generation of Gundam Age is finally coming to an end, if you want to look at it that way. But anyway, straight to the action, as this is an episode where we're finally going to get a lot of answers. As we saw at the end of the last episode, the Diva has landed and is chewing its cud as we have Largan and Wolf defending it as the ground troops move in. And as they're duking it out with the Yui's ground forces, don't forget that Ensign Wesley Adams is still there and still alive. As Flit and his Age 1 Normal have also infiltrated the base on his way to destroy the reactor, he's going to encounter a small Zam. And as we get the opening for the last time, I'm assuming for the first generation, with a new song next week, don't forget you can check out my recreation and review of it on my channel. Having lost the Dodds rifle, Flit is going to have to take on the small Zam using nothing but a beam saber, and it's going to be piloted by the masked man Yark Dole, the dark arms dealer who's had a young Padawan and obviously plays a big role within the UE. One of the things I had been keeping an eye on is what's going to happen between Wolf and Largan, but Wolf is going to run off and leave Largan behind after Racht saves his bacon. Flit is led into a trap by a laughing Yark, and then he's going to have to face a massive army of 3 Gafrans and a Bacto, and they're down in a matter of seconds. And with thoughts of Lala Tifa Urine soon flashing through his mind, you can imagine that Flit's not going to be too happy, and back on the Diva, even Emily seems to notice his pain with a new type-ish flash. Wolf's timely intervention is going to allow Flit to stab his beam saber through the chest of the small Zam, which really didn't put up all that much fight in this. And then, like the little ant that he is, he jumps out of the cockpit, and both Flit and Wolf grab handguns, which are conveniently located in their cockpits, and run off as everybody's going to meet in the exposition/control room. Where the reveals are about to begin, starting with the fact that the Yui is human as he takes off his helmet to reveal a horrible set of hair and a very non-Char-like face, and Grudek is going to tell everybody that he knows who he is exactly. And not just that, but he is the one who's responsible for knocking over his photos and killing the families of both Captain Grudek and Flit. To which Yark replies, well, maybe I'll just have to reveal everything then, after these important messages. After the break, Wolf, who's been separated from the rest of the group, is going to end up meeting a dying UE trooper who turns out to be a young human, and he's going to end up with Laplace's locket in the shape of a little planet, and we're not going to know the significance of this in this generation, it seems. And I hope you have your notebooks ready for this history lesson, because it turns out that 150 years ago, humans tried to colonize Mars, but they failed due to solar rays and Martian rays and diseases. And the feds, they do what they do best in Gundam, which is cover up the whole thing. In fact, they tried to cover up the fact that they even tried the whole colonization thing. And that in addition to them really rejecting meat in all of its forms, these vegans decided that they want revenge or a return to the Earth. And we get the name drop of the big bad probably of the whole series, Sir Ezelkant, it seems. And as Flit decides that he's going to shoot this guy once and for all, Yark pulls his pistol right to his face and says, I dare you to go ahead and kill another human, but instead the killing blow is going to come from the man who's sought out revenge from the beginning. It's Grudek who's able to shoot him, not before Dore is able to get off a few more idle threats, and then a not-so-idle threat as he sets off the self-destruct button. And as the young Padawan, who turns out to be his son, comes into the room and sees his father's dead body, he pulls out a pistol before Grudek is going to add something new to the Gundam lexicon. Instead of the bright slap, we've got the Grudek butt end as he knocks the gun out of his hand like it's nothing. And then he goes on to lecture him about the life of revenge this kid is about to lead, exactly as Grudek has lived his life up to this point. And as the son looks down on his dying father, you can't help but wonder what effect this is going to have on the next generation. And with explosions going off all around them, Flit and Wolf reunite and get the heck out of Dodge in their mobile suits as the Diva's crew return to scenes of celebrations from everybody from Mr. and Mrs. Madonna to the rest of the crew, including the old man and Emily. Except back on the bridge where the realization that the war is going to be against humans and this isn't the faceless enemy that they've been thinking it is up to now. And then we're going to get the best scene of the episode where Grudek comes in and simply bows to everyone and says thank you before returning to his cabin where he's going to look at his family picture. And as he closes his eyes, he flashes back and he imagines that he's actually going home. And Emily goes into the hangar to congratulate Flit on his great victory, but instead is just able to overhear and see him hold on to Urin's hairband as he looks up and says to himself, "Why haven't I been able to become the savior?" He promises that from here on, he will. And Malaise fills us all in at the end, where it turns out that the Federation does what they do best with their trickery and shenanigans, and that they are going to take credit for the attack on the UE and say that they condone it. All the while, they're going to take Grudek, blame him as a scapegoat, and lock him up, it seems, indefinitely in jail, even though he took all the blame and said that he forced the Divas crew to do it. And you're left with the lasting image of Grudek rotting away in a jail cell for something that they now say is a good thing. Overall, I thought this was an excellent episode, although last week's emotional and action-packed episode may take the cake as the penultimate one. But in terms of big reveals, we got to find out all the story, which is great. We've had 15 episodes of not knowing what's happening up to this point, and we get to find out everything about the UE, and it's sort of cool to see the whole Mars aspect brought in. It's been touched upon in Gundam, but not very much, so it's interesting to make that the focal point of this series. But I have to say that their episode really did belong to that man who's coming around here with his arms locked up behind him, Captain Grudek, and it was fantastic with the background music and the insert songs, and him and the emotions there as he warns the kid of the life that he's about to face, wanting nothing but revenge, as he also condemns Yark Dole and the vegans for their attack on Earth for wanting nothing more than revenge, and we get to just see all of the revenge aspects here, and now all it does is make me wonder what's going to happen about him in the second generation, as he seems to be locked up and be gone forever. But there's lots to look forward to in the second generation. The Largan and Wolf thing did not end the way I expected. Acting Ensign Wesley Adams didn't die. In fact, nobody really died besides the bad guy, which is a little bit surprising for considering they were doing a generational gap here. You'd figure that this is a chance for Kill 'em all Gundam, which we've seen many, many times. They could have killed off a whole bunch of people and had a big emotional impact, but instead they spared everybody. So anyway, that's just going to leave the question of what kind of role everybody's going to end up in between Malaise and Largan and Wolf and their kids, and of course what's going to happen to Grudek. So stay tuned for next week. Let me know what you thought of this episode with a comment down below and my review of this. I will be back to review the first episode of the second generation, and I look forward to seeing you then. Anyway, everybody, Robert184, gundam.tk, thanks for watching. See you next week. See, now because you expected me to die, I guarantee I'll be back as the captain of the second generation.